Welcome to Vegas Hockey Hub here on the sports entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada, here on prconnectionsradio.com, the voice of new media. I'm your host, Ian Rachiele. A fantastic show we have planned for everyone watching around the world. So it has been officially one whole season since the Alex Tuch Jack Eichel deal. Now, the one photo I wanted to show is a photo that was taken in the first meeting that happened when Jack Eichel went back to Buffalo. And I actually had a good close friend of mine who actually went to that game. And the amount of reaction Buffalo had for Jack Eichel and the amount of reaction they had to Alex Tuch was insane. But that photo I have right here in front of the screen is a photo of Jack Eichel and Alex Tuch playing against each other, because for the next decade, Alex Tuch, Jack Eichel are going to be the respective faces of the franchise out in Buffalo, and is going to be a face of the franchise for Vegas. So, with an entire calendar year going by, who really won the Buffalo Sabres Vegas Golden Knights trade involving Alex Tuch, Jack Eichel, and a bunch of futures? Who won this deal, right? So to really break that down, we have to really get into how we got into this situation. We have to really break down, how did we get to this deal? Now, I also want to preface this by saying that Jack Eichel and Alex Tuch were teammates for Team USA. As a matter of fact, in 2012, 2013, they played for the Team USA under-17 team. Jack Eichel had 19 goals, 34 points in 36 games for Team USA. Alex Tuch that season had 11 goals, 26 points in 56 games. So that really was the first year. And the second year, when they played for the Team USA under-18 team, Jack Eichel had a whopping 87 points in 53 games in the 2013-2014 season. Alex Tuch had a respectable 64 points in 61 games on that same team. So I just wanted to show that quick photo real quick to really point out that, yes, they actually were teammates at one point in Team USA. But to really break this down, I'm going to focus on Alex Tuch first and then get into Jack Eichel second. So Alex Tuch is an interesting story, because not only did he play 2 seasons at Boston College in college hockey, not only was he a first-round pick by Minnesota Wild in the 2014 NHL entry draft, but he also was a key member of the expansion draft for the Vegas Golden Knights. In the 2017 NHL expansion draft that we have talked about here on Vegas Hockey Hub, I mentioned that the Minnesota Wild got Erik Haula instead of Matt Dumba, thanks to Alex Tuch. The Minnesota Wild had to give up a young, upcoming forward in Alex Tuch, because the Vegas Golden Knights were going to get Matt Dumba. Matt Dumba was the best player the Minnesota Wild had available. They did not want him to be taken by Vegas, so they ended up swapping Alex Tuch instead. So Alex Tuch, in year 1 of the expansion draft for the Vegas Golden Knights, he ended up not playing the beginning of the year. In fact, he actually played a couple of games in Chicago, having 4 goals and 5 points for Chicago before getting called up to the Vegas Golden Knights. And when he got called up to Vegas in that first season, he had 15 goals and 22 assists in 78 games. And then they get into the playoffs in that first year, and he had a 6-goal, 10-point performance in their route to the Stanley Cup Finals. Year 2, Alex Tuch has the best season of his entire career, having 20 goals, 52 points in 74 games with a plus 13 for the Vegas Golden Knights. The next year, he only has 17 points in 42 games Injuries kind of riddled Alex Tuck that season, but he also had a -10, which was one of the worst defensively the Vegas Golden Knights had that year. So, year 4 in his final year playing for the Vegas Golden Knights, he has 18 goals in 55 games in a shortened 2020-2021 season, and he had a +16 rebounding on the defensive side. He goes into the playoffs that year and in 19 postseason games has 4 goals, 9 points as they got to the Western Conference Finals. So Alex Tuck, up to that point for Vegas, was a 15 to 20 goal scorer when healthy. He was a guy that you could rely on to get about 30 to 40 points for the Vegas Golden Knights. That's who Alex Tuck was. And then leading up to the Jack Eichel deal, Alex Tuck actually got injured and had to have surgery that season, putting him on long-term IR for the Vegas Golden Knights. That part is very valuable later on. So Alex Tuck, in his career with the Vegas Golden Knights, was a bottom 6 forward, a middle 6 forward who you could rely on in Las Vegas. He was a guy who played over 60 playoff games and was averaging half a point in the playoffs for the Vegas Golden Knights. Jack Eichel was a completely different story. Not only was Jack Eichel a second overall pick by the Buffalo Sabres, not only was Jack Eichel a guy that most people considered a face of the franchise type talent, but Jack Eichel was someone who the Buffalo Sabres took in and immediately made an impact. He had back-to-back 24-goal seasons in his first 2 years in Buffalo. He had a 56-point season, a 57-point season, and that was before the age of 21. He also then eclipses that own, has 64 points in 67 games, averaging nearly a point per game, and having a 25-goal season. And then, at the age of 22 years old, has a 28-goal, 82-point performance in 77 games for the Buffalo Sabres. That was his best performance of his career up to that point. So, Jack Eichel was slowly rising as a superstar in the NHL. He was a guy that was going to eclipse that 82-point season before the NHL had a shortened 2019-2020 season. He had 78 points, 36 of them were goals in that shortened 2019-2020 regular season. But here's where the bad news happened with Jack Eichel. Here's where the unfortunate news happened with the Jack Eichel situation. In the shortened 2020-2021 season, he only played 21 games and only had 2 goals because he got injured and had a devastating neck injury that sidelined him for the rest of that season. That's also the same neck that he went on to have surgery on and ended up costing him almost a full calendar year in the NHL. So, before the trade happens, Jack Eichel has a neck injury. Alex Tuck, he has his injury, but both of them were on long-term deals. Alex Tuck, before the trade happens, had signed a 7-year deal worth $33 million back in the 2019-2020 season. Jack Eichel signed a 8-year deal worth $80 million in the 2018 season. So the math is starting to add up in that deal. As a matter of fact, it's one of the reasons why Alex Tuck was in the deal, because the cap hit could actually start to line up. So on November 4th, 2021, the deal goes into effect. In 2021, this deal ends up happening where you have Jack Eichel and the Buffalo Sabres. They trade him and a 2023 third-round pick to the Vegas Golden Knights, and the Buffalo Sabres acquire Alex Tuck, Peyton Krebs, a 2022 first-round pick, and a 2023 second-round pick. Now, I'm actually going to get the conditional picks out of the way. The conditional second-round pick by Vegas is that if Vegas's first-round pick ended up being a top 10 pick, then Vegas would have to transfer their second round pick instead. That ended up not happening, so Buffalo got a second round pick in 2023 instead in 2024. And the conditional pick for the Vegas Golden Knights side is that the Vegas Golden Knights receive that third round pick in 2023 instead of 2024. There's a bunch of conditions on it. So that deal had to be met where they sent not just a young forward in Alex Tuch, but they sent a former first round pick in Peyton Krebs and a future first round pick that was used on this season on center Noah Ostlund, who is from Sweden. Now, I'm going to very quickly break down Noah Ostlund and Peyton Krebs because they were not the main parts of this deal. Noah Ostlund was drafted 16th overall in the most recent 2022 NHL draft. At 18 years old, he signed a 3-year deal worth $4.2 million. He has a $950,000 cap hit with the Buffalo Sabres. He just went off a 42-point, 32-game season where he played in a junior league under 20 out there in Sweden. He also played in the World Junior Cup and World Junior Championships for Sweden, put up 10 points in 6 games for the Sweden under 18 team. So Noah Ostlund has a bright future in Buffalo. He's still going to be playing overseas in Sweden at the age of 18. So watch out for Noah Ostlund. He could actually become a valuable asset for the Buffalo Sabres moving on. Peyton Krebs was a guy the Vegas Golden Knights knew about long term. They drafted him in the first round. They signed him to a 3-year deal worth $4 million. He is actually going to be a valuable asset to the Buffalo Sabres. He's going to be under contract until 2024. But what Peyton Krebs did leading into that is what you have to talk about. In 2019, 2020, and in 2020, 2021, he played for the Winnipeg Ice in the WHL. And he actually put up 60 points in the WHL in that time period. He had a 68-point year in the WHL. He put up stellar numbers playing for the Winnipeg Ice out there in the WHL. He ends up playing a few select games for the Vegas Golden Knights. He only puts up 1 point in 13 games for Vegas. He also only puts up 10 points in 7 AHL games for the Henderson Silver Knights in the AHL. So when you factor in his limited amount of success playing in the AHL and playing in the NHL, it might have been a low-risk, high-reward situation to put him in this deal. Well, anyone who's been watching the Buffalo Sabres over the last year and a half will know that Peyton Krebs has become a high reward out in Buffalo. Ever since joining the Buffalo Sabres in his 50 games since joining the Buffalo Sabres, he has put up 23 points, and 7 of them have been goals for the Buffalo Sabres. He has been a nice addition to a young bottom 6 out there in Buffalo. This is a guy who is only, once again, not even 22 years old, and he is playing valuable minutes out there in Buffalo. So Peyton Krebs, at 21 years old, has done a solid job out there in Buffalo. Noah Ostlund, 18 years old, he is going to spend a few years overseas before going to Buffalo. And Alex Tuch, in his first 50 games for the Buffalo Sabres, had 12 goals, 38 points in 50 games. So Alex Tuch looks like the future of Buffalo. Peyton Krebs looks like the future of Buffalo. And Noah Ostlund is going to take time, but he's going to develop into the future in Buffalo. So really the first half of my angle here is how the Buffalo Sabres won in the Jack Eichel deal was they got not just 1, not just 2, but they got potentially 3 valuable pieces in this deal. They got a face of the franchise in Alex Tuch, a guy from Syracuse, New York, who actually played for the Syracuse Junior Stars at the beginning of his career. This is a guy who put up 101 points playing for the Syracuse Junior out in 2011-2012. So you have a hometown guy who's going to be your face of the franchise. You have a guy in Peyton Krebs who at one point put up 68 points in the Western Hockey League in its 64 games. A guy who's not even 22 years old yet. He is going to be a valuable part of Buffalo. And that first round pick is a pair of magic beans. It could become a superstar or it could become a bust. You never know. So the Buffalo Sabres have gotten valuable asset after valuable asset after valuable asset by trading Jack Eichel away. Now, what did Vegas get in this deal? They got a face of the franchise in Jack Eichel. Make no mistake about it, when the Vegas Golden Knights went all in and put all their chips in the middle of the table to get Jack Eichel, it was done with the intention of getting a superstar. It was done with the intention of getting a 40-goal, 50-goal scorer in Jack Eichel. And the Vegas Golden Knights could believe he could do it because it had been done up to that point. Jack Eichel had had a 78-point and an 82-point season in back-to-back years in Buffalo before getting injured. Jack Eichel had shown that he could be a valuable asset in Las Vegas because he had done it in Buffalo. He had suffered for 6 seasons playing for the Buffalo Sabres, and the Vegas Golden Knights thought it was time to buy in and try to win a Stanley Cup. A lot of people seem to forget why trades happen in the NHL because there are 3 types of teams in hockey. Team A is a team that wants to win a Stanley Cup and is willing to sacrifice the farm to get it done. Team 2 is a team who's not going to be able to win a Stanley Cup, and they sell off their superstars to rebuild the farm. And the third team that's in the NHL is what I like to call mediocrity. They really don't have any superstars. They don't really have any farm system. The team kind of just exists. In this scenario, the Buffalo Sabres were selling off a superstar to rebuild their farm. The Vegas Golden Knights were selling off the farm to bring in a superstar so they could win a Stanley Cup. Now, Jack Eichel and his contract means that the Vegas Golden Knights are going to have Jack Eichel for 6 seasons. They are going to have an elite goal scorer, a guy who's already scored 150 goals in the NHL for 6 seasons. Vegas didn't do this deal because they wanted Jack Eichel for 6 seasons just because he's Jack Eichel. They got Jack Eichel. Vegas went out and got Jack Eichel because Vegas wants to win a Stanley Cup. Vegas wants to go out and win Lord Stanley's Cup. And do I confidently believe Vegas can go out and do it? Am I confident Vegas will go out within this 6-season window and try to win a Stanley Cup? Abso-freaking-lutely. Do I believe Kelly McCrimmon, George McPhee, Bill Foley, do I believe Vegas went out and did this deal 1 year ago because they believe Jack Eichel can win Vegas a Stanley Cup? Yes, I do. So the title of the video is how the Vegas Golden Knights and the Buffalo Sabres won the Jack Eichel trade. It is very simple and very blunt. Vegas won the Jack Eichel trade because Jack Eichel is going to help Vegas win a Stanley Cup. The Buffalo Sabres won the Jack Eichel trade because they got 4 valuable assets that will help Buffalo for the next decade. That is how this deal was a win-win for Buffalo and a win-win for Vegas. Because Vegas wants to win a Stanley Cup, and they have a 6-season window with Jack Eichel to get it done. Buffalo gets Alex Tuch, who's going to be under contract until 2026. They have Peyton Krebs, who will be on an entry-level deal until 2024. Noah Astelin will be on an entry-level deal until 2025. And their draft pick, who they get in next year's draft, will be under contract until 2026. So, if Buffalo does it correctly, they can be a winning team with all 4 assets that Buffalo acquired from Vegas. And if Buffalo does what I'm expecting them to do, they can maybe one day be a Stanley Cup contender because of the Jack Eichel trade. And Vegas can become a Stanley Cup champion by getting Jack Eichel, by getting a 40-goal, 50-goal score in Jack Eichel to be on their top line in Vegas. And so far in year 6, there has been no doubt Jack Eichel has been a valuable part of Vegas's top line. Pairing him with Phil Kessel, pairing him alongside Riley Smith has been smart, has been intelligent, and has been a good move for Vegas. So before we get into our next content, before we break down the next part of this segment, I want to pass it on to all of you. Who do you believe won this deal? Who do you believe really won the Jack Eichel trade 1 year later? Do you believe Buffalo Sabres won by getting Alex Smith, by getting Peyton Krebs, by getting Noah Astelin, by acquiring the talent of Alex Tuch? Or did the Vegas Golden Knights win by getting the best player in the deal, and that was Jack Eichel? I'm proposing this question because it has been 1 year later as this deal's happened. 1 year ago, Jack Eichel was a Buffalo Sabre. 1 year ago, Alex Tuch was a Vegas Golden Knight. It has been officially 1 year since the Alex Tuch Jack Eichel trade, and I wanted to ask everybody who has been with the Vegas Golden Knights and everyone with the Buffalo Sabres, who won the Jack Eichel trade 1 year later? So Jack Eichel, ever since he joined the Vegas Golden Knights, has had 15 goals since being a Vegas Golden Knight. So when you compare Alex Tuch and you compare Jack Eichel's had 15 goals. Alex Tuch has had 13 goals since going to Buffalo. So you actually will compare what Jack Eichel has done and you compare what Alex Tuch has done, and it's actually very similar. Jack Eichel has had 28 points. Alex Tuch has had 40 points. So the points actually favors Alex Tuch, but the goals favor Jack Eichel. You want to do the plus minus conversation. Alex Tuch has had a +5. Alex Tuch has had a minus of 0. Okay? He has had exactly 0 on the plus minus in Buffalo. Jack Eichel has had a +5. And when it comes to penalty minutes, Jack Eichel has had 10. Alex Tuch has had 14. So plus minus has been pretty much a wash. Plus minus, the advantage goes to Jack Eichel. The points goes to Alex Tuch. And the goals go to Jack Eichel. Games played would go to Alex Tuch. He has played 52 games. Jack Eichel has played 37. So when you analyze the trade 1 year later, you have to really factor games played into the equation because Alex Tuch has played 13 more games than Jack Eichel has. So as we have about 5 minutes left here on the show, I do want to analyze one important aspect that kind of was under the radar and that was the one team that Jack Eichel could have gone to in this deal. A lot of people remember that Jack Eichel got dealt to Buffalo. A lot of people remember that there was a lot of rumors going around about where Jack Eichel could have gone, where Jack Eichel could have been traded if it hadn't have been Vegas. Well, doing research for this show, I actually looked up a deal that almost got done and is actually interesting when you understand what's going on right now. So the Calgary Flames, who are playing the Vegas Golden Knights, almost got out Jack Eichel. As a matter of fact, it was almost a done deal that the Calgary Flames got Jack Eichel 1 year ago. So the deal was that Jack Eichel and the Buffalo Sabres were going to get a heavy amount of futures for Jack Eichel. In fact, the deal is that the Calgary Flames was going to get Matthew Tkachuk. Is that they were going to get a superstar in Matthew Tkachuk. They were going to get 2 first-round picks, and they were going to get 1 additional player in the deal. Now, the reason why the trade did not go through, according to multiple analysts, was because the Calgary Flames had a lack of prospects and had a lack of top prospects that the Buffalo Sabres wanted. So, because of a lack of a number 1 prospect, it is why the Calgary Flames did not get Jack Eichel. Instead, Vegas got Jack Eichel in the deal. So I wanted to bring that up very quickly towards the end of the show because Calgary, who is playing Vegas, almost got Jack Eichel instead of the Vegas Golden Knights. And would have actually been an interesting twist of events because the Calgary Flames getting Jack Eichel, wonder how that would have shaped the past playoffs. The Battle of Alberta, where Matthew Tkachuk was terrorizing Zach Kassian, where he was getting under the skin of Connor McDavid, where he was causing problems with Leon Draisaitl. Well, if Matthew Tkachuk is not playing in Calgary, but is instead playing in Buffalo, I wonder how the hostility would have been in the Battle of Alberta if it would have been Jack Eichel going up against Connor McDavid, where it would have been number 1 versus number 2 going up in that postseason battle instead of Tkachuk versus McDavid. I just wanted to very quickly mention that because going through my research for tonight's episode, I remember that Calgary almost got Jack Eichel before he ended up going to Las Vegas. So that was just a little bit of a fun fact for you as we get towards the end of the show, is that the opponent for Vegas almost landed Jack Eichel. If it hadn't have been for a lack of prospects, it might have actually been done. So that was a great episode tonight, of Vegas Hockey Hub. I appreciate everyone watching around the world. I'm your host, Ian Rachiele. Follow me on all social media platforms at Ian Rachiele18. Follow the show at Vegas Hockey Hub. And follow all the content on PR Connections Radio at prconnectionsradio.com. I also want to give a shout out to Cozy Stone for putting out another amazing episode. She is great at what she does. Definitely go watch all of her content. And The Love of Business, there's 2 new hosts that are on The Love of Business. Go check out everyone on The Love of Business, Cozy Stone, Voices of Humanity, We Got the Power. So much great content on PR Connections Radio, besides Vegas Hockey Hub and another show on here called The Sports Angle on PR Connections Radio. So until next time, I'm your host, Ian Rachiele. Have a great one. Watch as much hockey as you can, and go Knights